Welcome to the Irish Farmers Journal Weekly Podcast.
Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Thomas Hubert, news correspondent with the Irish Farmers Journal. Coming up on the show this week, farmers deal with the aftermath of Storm Emma.
The devastation all around County Wexford is hard to believe. The number of sheds down in different parishes. I was talking to somebody over in Ballymurn direction. They said there's over 9 sheds down there, and we've several sheds lost here in Monagear as well.
And it's Women's Day, time to prepare your entries for the Women and Agriculture Awards.
You really want to hear those stories on the farm, and it's not just about, I suppose, people can be saying, oh God, I don't know if I could nominate myself or put my own entry forward. You know, if you know somebody that's doing a great job as well, you know, you can nominate somebody else. So we're really looking for entries for that category.
But first, this week's Irish Farmers Journal comes with our exclusive annual land report, and it's a seller's market. Our property specialist Anthony Jordan painted the picture of supply, demand and prices around the country for my colleague Hannah Quinn-Mulligan.
The land market in 2017, it's solid, if not it's strong. You know, I suppose prices are up to just under €9,100 an acre. That's up 4% on last year's prices. Very surprisingly, supply is actually up of acres offered as well. From speaking with agents all around the country, many kind of anecdotally had said that the supply was very, very tight around the country. We actually found the opposite. We found that supply is up just over 6%, 6.2%. There was about 78,000 or just over acres offered to the Irish land market last year, and that's up on just over 70,000 from 2016. So that's quite a positive.
This does cover all 32 counties, and you talk about an increase in supply. I mean, was there any county in particular, any province in particular that was changing the results from previous years? Yeah,
so in particular, Mayo seen one of the largest increases of supply of kind of farms offered in Ireland last year. Mayo would usually rank mid-table when you talk about supply of acres offered. There are actually numerous big farms came to the market in Mayo, so they actually supply increased by over 60%. Wicklow is another county that increased. Actually, its supply doubled to the Irish land market last year. Just in terms of a county by county breakdown, over half the counties in Ireland saw supply increase in 2017.
And there didn't seem to be any east-west divide there, because you're talking about Mayo and then you're talking about Wicklow, so it wasn't one particular province.
Not in particular. Now, while there was a disparity in price around the country, supply really was consistent all around the country. As I said, half the counties experienced a supply surge, half the counties seen a reduction in supply.
Now, I have no doubts that you were thorough in your methodology, but for people listening, what are the results based on for the land report?
Yeah, so I suppose that the results are based on 768 transactions around the country. It incorporated about 350 agents who we spoke to. It was about 1,100 phone calls to make sure that we were very, very thorough. And what we've given is a really good and credible breakdown of the Irish land market, just in terms of the prices that we've achieved for each county. I suppose one thing that we would be are very appreciative of is the agents who spoke with us. 350 agents spoke with us, and of the 768 results that we acquired, nearly 500 were private treaty. So those results were given to us in confidence, and we really have to give our greatest appreciation to the auctioneers who gave us that particular information.
But it's a mark as well of the standard of the land report, that this is kind of something that people go back to and reference again and again, and estate agents around the country reference as well. So
absolutely, because I mean it does give a breakdown of all 32 counties individually, and it gives really, really detailed analysis of each county, which is something that is rarely, if ever, done. Is actually not done. We're the only publication that does that.
And I guess what everyone's going to want to know is what areas we're seeing the biggest rise in price and what counties then are back in price.
Yeah, look, so I mean, there's no doubt that dairy had a really, really strong year in 2017. So the back end of last year seen really, really strong land prices. The counties that are predominantly dairy or had a dairy drive in them were the ones that really saw the major increases.
We're talking about Cork here, aren't we?
Yeah, so we're talking about Cork. Cork's prices did increase over 10%. They're now sitting just at under or at almost 11,500 an acre. Tipperary, along with a really major equine influence, also saw a price jump of over 10%.
My home county of Limerick, should I be worried? Will I ever be able to expand?
Limerick was slightly down. So
excellent.
Limerick was a small bit down, but it was down to it was nearly just over €8,000 an acre. But Limerick had a relatively strong 2016 from my memory. When you're talking about the biggest price jump of 2017 was Laois. Laois had a price jump of over 22%. It's a fifth. That really is, so the price of land in Laois is €2,000 more expensive per acre than last year. Now obviously this is all dependent on quality. Laois saw a numerous or a definite jump in the better quality parcels coming to the market in 2017 than they would have the year previous, and that in itself, along with dairy interest, was a reason for its price kind of jump.
The other side of that then, counties that were down in price.
Yeah, so counties that were down in price. Surprisingly, Kilkenny was majorly back. Now Kilkenny obviously has a big dairy influence, but also its neighbours Waterford and Wexford were also down. So the southeast is down, and one would wonder, from speaking with agents, possibly a main reason might be poor grain prices over the last number of years. Maybe a major reason. The purchasing power of tillage men has decreased over the last few years with the commodity prices. So perhaps the competition has been lessened for people who have got purchasing powers to actually purchase them parcels of land. I suppose if we're talking county by county, the most expensive county last year was Kildare. Kildare was nearly 2,000 ahead of any other competitor with €14,020 an acre, which is a really, really strong price. That was driven by business people and equine people in the market, who really were eager to purchase lands. But there was also some very, very impressive parcels of land sold in Kildare. The like of Lockstown Stud, which was guided for 3.5 million, made apparently close to that. It was sold privately. You've got Clonillis and Salins, both well over 100 or 200 acres, which sold for into the millions. So there was some really, really strong prices. Of course, we can't leave out the counties that had the least expensive counties in Ireland. Leitrim, again, unfortunately, was the
How many? Is that a couple of years in a row for Leitrim? Is it?
Leitrim has been
consistently at the bottom, we could say.
Consistently close to the bottom, if not at the bottom. Yeah. A lot of marginal type ground in Leitrim obviously struggles to sell sometimes. Forestry has been a big seller there. Investment funds, pension funds, UK buyers are coming in, purchasing a lot of land, and farmers of course are planting land to get the lucrative premiums that are obtained. That's definitely rising the prices in Leitrim. Now Leitrim's land price actually increased last year, along with Sligo and Mayo. Galway decreased, and Roscommon seen a major increase in price, up by 19% last year.
Last but not least, with all that information that you have to hand, what is the outlook for 2018?
Yeah, so look, land prices are always going to be difficult to predict, and predominantly they're based on commodity prices. So if dairy continues to be strong, we could see another drive in 2018 of prices remaining steady or increasing slightly. Who knows, if the tillage price comes back a bit, we might see more competition from themselves. Beef and sheep farmers seen a better price in 2016. If that continues, they might be more competitive. As of 2016 or 17, they weren't very competitive, but they were holding their own to a relative degree. In areas where they're predominant, they were active. However, it was very, very difficult for beef and dry stock farmers and sheep farmers to compete with dairy in dairy predominant counties. In terms of price, 2018, you would expect it to remain the same. As I said, for 9 consecutive years, prices have remained between €8,700 and €10,000 an acre. That's the new market. That's the equilibrium. It's reached equilibrium over those 9 years. I mean, when you look back on 2007, land prices were €22,000 an acre. It was phenomenal, I suppose, the fall over those 2 years. So prices are consistent, and that shouldn't really change in 2018.
Now, for a view of the land market in Northern Ireland, let's hear from auctioneers with our correspondent, Peter McCann.
The Farmers Journal Agricultural Land Price Report Survey found that the land market in Northern Ireland was steady in 2017. Average prices for land reduced by only £65 an acre, and 0.7% year on year to £9,750 an acre. Our survey covered 144 land sales completed across 4,154 acres in Northern Ireland during 2017. We found that the strong sentiment among agricultural land buyers in the north that was seen in 2016, when prices rose by 8%, was generally maintained into the following year. The consensus from all auctioneers and estate agents that we spoke to was that uncertainty due to Brexit was having no impact on the agricultural land market here. Colin Henry from Coleraine-based auctioneers R. Benson & Son said that the improved milk prices helped demand for agricultural land last year.
The market at the earlier part of the year was a bit sluggish, but with the improvement in the milk prices and the cattle prices, any land coming on the market now, particularly sizable farms, are easy enough sold.
Benson sell land mostly in the northwest area of Northern Ireland, and Colm said that selling prices can vary depending on the quality of land on offer.
Agriculture land at the minute in the Limavady area to Coleraine area would vary from 8,000 to 10,000 an acre depending on the quality. The rougher quality land it would be around the 5,000 an acre. The woodland would probably be anywhere between 2,000 and 4,000 an acre.
I also asked Colm who the main buyers for agricultural land in North West were.
There's a mixture. You have still the good farmer looking to extend his holding for his son, but on the other hand, you have people now who have money invested who are getting nothing for it at the minute, or maybe some are short of 1%. They're entering the market, and also the attraction of the inheritance tax for agricultural land has a bit of a bearing on it as well.
On the other side of Northern Ireland, Cumber and Saintfield based auctioneer Tim Martin said that there was a strong demand for land in County Down.
Generally the demand, I think this year or last year 2017 has been very good. We've sold a lot of land in County Down, probably around 1,000 acres this year, mostly to farmers, I'm glad to say. But as I say, demand has been very good, and certainly I think of one farm in particular with 20 lots of viewers through it from all over the province and one or two from the south of Ireland as well. Confidence has been good, and generally most farms have sold, as I say, in a matter of weeks. I don't think Brexit has then had a great effect on it. Certainly the discussion as to what's going to happen in single farm payment or single farm payments. I think a lot of people know that come 2019 or beyond, that there's probably all going to be environmental stuff that's going to be that there's going to be any payments from. So that has an effect, but I think most people are factoring that in and realising that their payments may change, be that downward or whatever. But it certainly hasn't affected the confidence. I think, like everything else, farmers are very resilient, and you deal with whatever comes along at you at that moment in time, be it bad weather or bad prices, whatever it happens to be.
Tim says the land values last year generally ran from £6,500 an acre up to the £10,000 an acre mark for bare land.
The 10,000 acre would be vegetable ground we would have around Cumber and around that area. Once you move back further west and maybe into a wee bit heavier ground, as I said, ease back. 2017 prices, historic trends and analysis of land prices in each of the 32 counties of Ireland is an agricultural land price report, which is in this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
That was Peter McCann concluding our reporting on land prices for this week's podcast. Stay tuned for advice on how to deal with snow damage on sheds after this break.
Land prices at highest level in 3 years. This week's Irish Farmers Journal contains your free 72-page county-by-county land price report. We reveal what the average price of land was in your county in 2017. Dairy farmers, forestry investors and non-farming buyers drive land prices higher. And for the first time ever, we've a county-by-county breakdown of land leasing prices. Also in this week's Farmers Journal, counting the cost of Storm Emma. We advise farmers on how to deal with livestock losses, shed damage and insurance, as well as profiling farmers who are local heroes. Don't miss this week's Irish Farmers Journal for your free 72-page land price report. On sale now.
Now let's go to County Wexford, where last week's massive snowfall has left a trail of destruction. Irish Farmers Journal news correspondent Pat O'Toole visited farmers in the eye of the storm.
I'm here with James Keogh, the Wexford IFA County Chairman. James, it's been a tough few days in Wexford. We're up here in high ground in Monagear, and the snow is still high on the roadsides and in the fields, but the worst is probably over. Put into words the effort that's been made around here and all over the county by farmers to help out, clear the roads and get their stock seen to.
Yeah, no, it's been a very serious time, in fairness, Pat. I haven't never seen anything like it. 2010, I suppose, was something a bit close to it, but the devastation all around County Wexford is hard to believe. The number of sheds down in different parishes. I was talking to somebody over in Ballymurn direction. They said there's over 9 sheds down there, and we've several sheds lost here in Monagear as well. The community effort, I suppose, without farmers, and they've so much work to do inside their own farm gate in the time with trying to keep stock fed and watered. They got out on the roads and they cleared roads and cleared paths for people, and got the country back moving again. I suppose it was Friday morning I got a phone call from Wexford Hospital to get some tractors down there because they couldn't get staff in and out to the hospital, and that continued on Saturday and on Sunday. The roads were so bad down here, so massive effort put in by farmers, and I want to congratulate them for all their hard work that they've done on a voluntary basis. And I know we don't get these weather events very often, but I feel that there needs to be a kind of a joint up thinking between Wexford County Council and the IFA and the HSE and the Fire Brigade and Garda Síochána and all the parties involved when we're in a crisis situation like this. It does happen. I know we mightn't see it again for 20 years, but if there was a plan put in place where it'd be a little bit more organised, because literally chaos on Friday and Thursday, Friday, Saturday was just pure chaos. And maybe if we had a few meetings and the farmers were on standby for a situation like that, and that they could move in more fast.
And crucially indemnified, so that they could go out on the roads knowing that they wouldn't be liable should anything go wrong when they're trying to clear the roads.
That's right. Like, I suppose we didn't really get word onto that. I think it was nearly Saturday when the word came in through from Minister Naughton on that, and at least then the farmers knew that they wouldn't have any responsibility, I suppose, to any damages that was done, and that was good. That was good anyhow. But farmers did take it on their own bat to go and clear roads, and only for them. I had cattle myself now on an out farm, and we couldn't get to them for a few days, and it was only a neighbouring farmer down there kept an eye on them and kept the whole show on the road. On
a separate note, you've sheep here, heavy and lamb. We've had at least one dog attack in the last couple of nights here in Wexford. It's probably the same all over the country. The compounds may be compromised. There could be fences down or walls collapsed, or there could be snow drifted up to the top of a wall or a fence, or the electronic collars could be, or electric fence could be disabled by the by the snow. So I presume you must have concerns for sheep farmers.
Yeah, like, I suppose it's a vulnerable time of the year on any given year, but at the moment it's extremely vulnerable. The sheep here have some out and some in, and the ones inside and outside are under pressure. Just when you get so close to lambing, their body just needs so much energy to stay going, and the last thing you would need is a dog attack. But unfortunately it has happened, and sheep, we've lost sheep in the county, and it's an ongoing problem. And what you said is dead right. I'm just pleading to people to ensure that their dog is secure. And I know under the circumstances it's not simple, but an animal, any dog, friendly pet, any dog roaming around can do damage to sheep flocks. And I'd urge people, all dog owners, to be extra careful, especially this time of the year, and considering the weather conditions that we're after having, to ensure that their dog is kept under control at all times.
Let's hope your words are heeded. Thanks, James. I'm here with John Murphy of Crane in Wexford, and John lost a shed like many farmers in his parish, like many farmers around the county, lost a shed in the snowfall. There was over 6 foot of snow piled on this lean-to, and the timbers couldn't carry the weight of it, and they gave in. John, this is not a shed you would have thought that would have been under pressure.
No, Pat, this was probably what I would have thought one of the sheds, the safest sheds I would have had. There was older buildings in the yard which we got in time and propped, but we just wouldn't have thought this ever came down. It's a strongly built shed. It was built on a grand spec at the time, and I actually couldn't believe that night at 12:30, I think it was, when we heard a bang and come out in devastation of a shed broke down. We're just lucky that there was no animals caught under it or anything like that, but we didn't know that till we pulled some of the snow away, of course. But thank God that there was no animal hurt or any person either, thank God.
And you yourself were around the county yesterday, on Monday, with IFA President Joe Healy, General Secretary Damien MacDonald, and other officers from the county, and you've seen the extent of the damage around the county.
I did, yes, Pat. We were around. We were up in parts of Gorey and down around the south of the county. We've seen glass houses, over 4 acres of glass houses levelled. I seen a farmyard where there was basically nothing left on the milking parlour, and it's complete devastation. It's hard to believe how how over a 2-day period of a weather event that we could end up in so much trouble so quick.
So, what to do if you're one of the many farmers with a collapsed shed after Storm Emma? I asked our building specialist, William Conlon, for advice on how to deal with the damage, the safety risk and the insurance claims.
Well, there's been a lot of damage now over the last week, between roofs being blown off sheds, roofs being knocked down with the weight of snow, and whole sheds falling down. I suppose when it comes to what do farmers do now, the first thing you have to do is kind of assess your damage. There may be some parts of the shed that may still be salvageable, the steel girders. They mightn't, if they haven't been distorted, they should still be okay. They mightn't have actually lost their integrity. So if the roof is just gone, the roof has been blown off, or the roof has been fallen in, there may be the option to just replace the roof without having to do any extensive complete replacements, say, to the shed. I suppose if you look at the damage that's been caused to it, fire damage would have been much worse than what happened, because it would actually affect the integrity of the steel, whereas some of the stanchions may still be salvageable. I suppose one thing that farmers have to be care of is the care around fallen sheds. They are a massive safety hazard when it comes to either trying to dismantle them, or when it comes to trying to erect a new one or make repairs to current roofs. We saw in the aftermath of the Storm Ophelia, where there was loss of life, where there was repairs trying to be made to sheds, and that's not a situation we want to repeat. I suppose one thing to look at is the age of the shed. For some, if they're too old, it might not be worth even trying to put a roof back up on them. There's no point putting a roof that might last 40 or 50 years on girders that might only last 10 years. So the best thing you can do is get in and look at the girders, look at them close to the ground, and see if they're beginning to corrode. And if there's any site of corrosion, or even if it's starting to corrode, then you're as well just to take the whole lot down and start from scratch again. I suppose as well, in a lot of these older type sheds, there's a lot of old block walls. There's not a whole lot of mass concrete walls. So the block walls have to be examined as well. If there's cracks, even if they still look like they're structurally sound, the cracks could mean that the entire the structure is compromised. And the next storm that comes, the next high winds that come, the wall could be blown in, and you could have lost the livestock or whatever's in the shed. So it just, farmers, you have to be careful not to rush into trying to put a roof back up in the shed. We're coming into the middle of March now. The hope should be that you'll be able to get some stock out over the next couple of weeks towards the end of March, so pressure might come off sheds. Realistically, it's going to be a couple of weeks before you can get contractors to come out and make repairs to sheds anyway. So the benefits from rushing and trying to put a roof on a shed that might not be suitable to hold one really mightn't exist. I suppose one option, if the girder, say if the top half of the girder maybe has been bent a small bit, if the rest of the girder is still strong enough, and your contractor will be able to look and assess that, one option is, I suppose, to maybe cut off the bent bit, plate it and graft a new stanchion onto the top of it. But again, with a lot of these projects, it'll come down to cost. I was talking to contractors the last few days, and they said that the cost of steel girders is about €18 a metre. So when farmers think that they might be saving a lot by using 2 or 3 of the existing girders, the savings might not actually be that substantial.
Especially if there's more labour involved, as you said, in repairs and all that. Yeah. So all this, I suppose, is not a job for the farmer itself. You mentioned contractors, and another player there is the insurance company. What can you do, and what should you refer to them before you do any work?
Well, if at all possible, you should make contact with your insurance company before you do anything. But in some situations, there mightn't be the time to make contact. So the insurance companies do understand, and we've been talking to a few there during the week. And if you have to make essential emergency repairs, that is permitted. But one thing that they would advise is to take as many pictures as you can, both before and after, and make sure you hold on to all receipts. Now, you're not going to go doing the full repairs or put up in your shed without contacting the insurance company. It's literally just the essential immediate repairs that might be needed just to make sure that the area is safe. But again, where you have to make these repairs, it's highly advised to get a contractor in or to get a professional in, because you're working at heights, and a lot of farmers wouldn't have the safety equipment when it comes to working up at them kind of heights.
Okay, William. Yeah, that's the main message. I'd say keep it safe, and thanks for that. We've a lot more details on the damage and the advice on how to deal with it and get your farm back up and running after the snow in this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
You're listening to the Irish Farmers Journal podcast.
Finally, I'm joined by Irish Country Living consumer editor Ciara Leahy, who has all the details about this year's Women and Agriculture Awards. So, Ciara, what exactly are these awards?
Hi, Thomas. Yeah, so our Women in Agriculture Awards are very, very important awards that we run here in Irish Country Living with FBD Insurance. And it's basically going back to what we're all about in Irish Country Living, celebrating farmers and celebrating female farmers specifically for these awards. We want to look beyond, we want to look right into the farms of Ireland, into the agribusinesses of Ireland, and celebrate the women that are at the helm of these business, that are running them, that are leading them, and really put them on a pedestal and say, look what can be achieved. And we've had some fantastic success with these awards in the past, and we're really, really looking forward to seeing what entries are going to be coming in this year.
So there are two categories to enter. First, maybe tell me about the Innovation on Farm Awards.
Okay, so our Innovation on Farm Award is about looking for that woman that's on the farm who has successfully implemented technical or managerial innovations on the family farm. And look, they could be done in numerous ways. It could be about employing new technology, to improve the farm family profitability. It could be, just seizing every opportunity to improve innovation, or just being really, really efficient in the managing of the farm. And we've had some really amazing winners in this category, specifically in previous years. Last time we had Margaret Farley, who ended up being our winner in this category, right? And Margaret
famous egg producer.
Yeah, the egg producer. She's behind Clonarm Clover, and she's such an amazing woman with such an amazing story. She started out in the 80s with, I think, 24 laying hens. She's now running a multi-million profitability operation up in Cavan. And you'd never think it from talking to her, but she really is. She took such a small idea, and what she has done with that company, what she has done with their little farm up in Cavan, is absolutely amazing. So when she came in as an entry, she was a really, really strong contender from the very start, and she ended up winning our Innovation on Farm Award. But what we do then, Thomas, is our winners at the Irish level then go forward to European level. Right. And not only was Margaret deemed to be excellent within Ireland, she actually beat the competition right across Europe and won the overall European award for on-farm innovation. It was really, really amazing. Not only that, on the very first time that we ran these awards, we also had Anne Moore, and Anne is running a dairy farm down in County Cork with her husband David, and basically again an amazing story. David ended up getting very sick, and they looked at, how they could make their farm profitable going forward in the future. They went down to one day milking, really innovative ways to make sure that the farm remained profitable, that their family life, remained successful. And again, when we got Anne's application, it went forward to Europe, and she won a European level as well.
Wow.
So really, we've been running these awards, and this is our fourth time on these awards, but to have two winners at European level is just absolutely amazing. And I suppose we don't want that, though, to put people off. We want to hear the stories of, what you've done on your farm. Another one of our winners was Lisa Keenan, and Lisa, is really, really has been involved with King's Court Mart, and she is running a suckler farm on the Meath Cavan border, and she was an amazing story as well. So we really want to hear those stories on the farm. And it's not just about, I suppose, people can be saying, oh God, I don't know if I could nominate myself or put my own entry forward. If you know somebody that's doing a great job as well, you can nominate somebody else. So we're really looking for entries for that category.
Okay, and as you said, Margaret Farley was a multi-million business, but you don't have to be that size.
Absolutely not.
Any farm and any woman who's doing something good at her level, on her scale, can go in.
Yeah.
There's another category now more centred on agribusiness. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so the Agribusiness and Innovation Award, I suppose the winner of this award would be a woman who's looked at the farm family and seen a novel idea come alive. So it's not just about looking at the farm. They've kind of gone away with a different kind of farm family business. So it could be an impressive and profitable on-farm business, such as a bakery, an allotment, a contracting company. I suppose anything that falls under the heading of a food, tourism or agri-related business. Someone that's looked at a viable market opportunity and really made a success of it. about. So, a winner in the past there was Valerie Kingston behind Glenillen Farm, and they looked at their dairy farm and said, right, what can we do with our amazing milk? And now they have like these gorgeous range of yogurts and desserts, and have really brought things to another level.
They export to the UK as well.
That's exactly it. Another really successful company is Mash Direct up in the north. Tracy Hamilton, again, they had a vegetable farm. They looked at it and said, right, what can we do more with our produce here? And now they have like a range of like every kind of vegetable now at this stage, mashed potatoes, mashed turnip, they have Culcanon, they have croquettes. Like, they've really looked at the produce on their farm and what can we do differently. Our most recent winner is Sabine Rosler, down in Wells House in County Wexford, and basically they inherited this the amazing Wells House, which was an old house. I mean, it was really not in a good state, and they've restored it to its former glory and made a massive tourism opportunity out of it. And Sabine and her husband Uli are running this operation. Now, Uli is still involved in the farm that's actually on the property, but again, looking at like a tourism opportunity and what you can do with the farm. So we're inviting applications for that as well, in regards to seeing what we want to know about these businesses. And I suppose for people it's a great promotional tool as well. We're putting your story out there, and I mean, from talking to a lot of the past winners over the last few weeks while we've been profiling their stories, that's what's come back is, it's been great for the business, but also people were saying, it was great for their confidence, and it was great because someone might put forward a nomination for you. But at that stage then, you're contacted and the judges will come down to see you. So even though you might not have put forward an application yourself, there is a moment there where you sit back and you think, right, what way am I going to prepare for these judges coming to visit? And each of them said to me, I'm thinking back on my story, I'm thinking back on the journey that I went, and it's really highlighting just how far I've come. So even if you never win, it's all about, having that opportunity to just stop and go, look what I've achieved, because everybody is running forward and what's the next project and what needs to be done next. And that's what they were saying that was so great about these awards, is it just gave you an opportunity to reflect.
So it is Women's Day this week, assuming that it gives you the strength, the courage to do it,
Exactly.
or the idea to nominate someone else. How do you enter? Okay,
so basically the best way to enter is either to go onto farmersjournal.ie /country living, and on that there's details of how to enter, or in this week's Irish Country Living as well, you'll have details. So basically it's about going away and putting together just 500 words or less about yourself or your nominee in relation to the category you're entering, and just, I suppose the advice we give is just pay special attention to the criteria that are outlined in the Farmers Journal, but it's just about telling your story. Supporting materials such as photographs or videos or business brochures, I mean, that will all be considered when the voting is considered as well. You must be available for a visit from the judging panel during the week of Monday 26th of March and Tuesday 3rd of April, because that, just to make sure you're at home when the judges come to call. But I suppose it is important just to sit back. It's not a lot of words, it's only 500 words, but make every word count and really prove yourself, make your story shine, so that you can go forward in these awards. And we invite applications from across the country, and we, as I said, we really look forward to the entries we're about to receive.
That's it for this week. The sound editor was Ferdia Mooney. From me, Thomas Hubert, goodbye and talk to you next week.
The Irish Farmers Journal podcast, online at farmersjournal.ie and on iTunes every Thursday.